More politics. Yesterday, the PNP celebrated another legal victory. Their spokesperson and Justice Donna Scott Motley hailed the decision of the Supreme Court to support the party's application for an injunction barring the removal of political billboards in St. James. Senator Scott Motley says this is yet another legal win for the PNP in its ongoing defense of democracy and fairness in Jamaica.
This ruling upholds the principles of fairness, freedom of expression, and the rule of law. The People's National Party will continue to challenge the abuse of state power wherever it appears. No public authority has a right to suppress legitimate political participation, and no Jamaican should fear political victimization.
Senator Donna Scott Motley, she's the opposition spokesman and justice. Yesterday, the Supreme Court granted the 3 PNP caretakers who made the application leave to seek judicial review of the decision by the St. James Municipal Corporation to take down the party campaign billboards in April 2025. So the PNP is celebrating its another legal victory. Also on the politics this morning, entitled and desperate, that's how the JLP's Communications Task Force Chairman, Senator Abka Fitzenley, is describing the move by the PNP President Mark Golding to berate members of the private sector who support the appointment of Dennis Chung as Chief Technical Director of the Financial Investigations Division. You'll recall Golding told a PNP forum last week that he's very disappointed in members of the private sector who have come to Chung's defense.
The move by the opposition leader to take to the political platform and essentially cuss members of the private sector who have disagreed with his stance concerning the FID appointment is very unfortunate. Beatrice Yaga and William Afuda are 2 members of the private sector who have been vocal in supporting the appointment. Unnecessary berating of some patriotic Jamaicans who are not coy about disagreeing when they see fit. What Golding has done regarding this matter is indicative of the leadership he proposes to bring, where when somebody disagrees with him, including members of the private sector, he clearly is prepared to take to the political platform and berate them unfairly and unnecessarily so. It smacks of a sense of entitlement and desperation on the part of the opposition and the opposition leader. So when they go on the platform, they talk about the Prime Minister having 28 accounts, suggesting he's the beneficial owner of 28 bank accounts. Not true. It's a lie. If you look at the Integrity Commission document, it speaks to Prime Minister's mother's account, father's accounts, sister, loan accounts, a number of insurance accounts, mortgage, credit cards, etc. However, the opposition has been spreading this lie, seeking to pull the wool over the eyes of the Jamaican people, because they have no message. Murders are down, record decline, over 44%. Unemployment and poverty, record low. The Jamaica Labour Party administration will not be distracted by the lies of the opposition. We are working on behalf of the people of Jamaica.
Senator Abka Fitzenley. Then in central Manchester, Rhoda Moy Crawford, no stranger to this program, yes, she had a meeting on Monday evening, yesterday evening, yes, a workers' meeting in her constituency. And the political talk, is that Rhoda Moy is under pressure in central Manchester, yeah, that she's vulnerable to Donovan Mitchell, the mayor of Mandeville, and that the Labour Party needs to drum up support for Rhoda Moy, yeah? And she had a workers' meeting yesterday, and she declared that she's the hardest working MP representative in the history of central Manchester.
I don't have to come to defend my record of performance. I know, you know, every Jamaican in Jamaica and the diaspora know that I have worked very hard. Manchester Central has never had a more hard-working member of parliament than yours truly. We have not only built or rehabilitated or patched 35 roads. The numbers have since gone up. On the way with road number 37, the Sparks program in Barnstable, We have delivered record number of tuition grants. We have provided support with book grants. We have helped our schools on so many levels. We have provided more than 600 building grants to constituents. We have provided 10 social houses. When I just came here, we only had 1 free Wi-Fi in the town. Today, we have 8 free Wi-Fi hotspots.
Rhoda Moy Crawford setting out her record as a first-term MP in central Manchester. And, the first time I set eyes on this young, beautiful woman, I was taken aback by her conviction. This was in the run-up to the 2020 election. I'd done an OB somewhere in Mandeville. And she came up to me with one of her operatives, Miss Charlton, I think it was. And she said to me, I am going to beat Peter Bunting. And I looked at her and was courteous, but very skeptical. Yeah, she said, I'm looking forward to the night of election when you're going to say breaking news. Peter Bunting has been defeated. And I didn't take her seriously. I did not take her seriously. Yeah? And then it happened on election night, September 2, 2020. And I think they have made a meme of me. Put up that meme when I got the news that she had indeed defeated Bunting, and it was not a narrow defeat, it was a decisive defeat. Yeah? And then, of course, she came on Cliff Hughes Online in another groundbreaking interview I did with her. But now, 5 years later, she's in a real struggle, yes, to hold on to central Manchester. Yes? The ground is less favorable, less fertile for her. She's not running against an incumbent veteran in Peter Bunting. Yeah? She now has to run on her record, which is more challenging. Yes? And on election night, it is one of those seats we'll be paying close attention to. Yeah? Of Crawford versus Mitchell, central Manchester. Let's go to the break because there's another bit of news to be said about Manchester, provided by Dr. Horace Chang yesterday, when he told me that Ambassador Audrey Marks is going to Northeast Manchester after the break.
It's contentious.
Yes.
The candidate is settling in very well, and we expect to announce our slate of candidates by next Monday.
And what about Northeast Manchester?
We have pretty much settled that as well, but again, we will proceed to do the time of what in the transition effectively before we make a public announcement, although that will be in the news from the ground and people on the street will tell you who they have settled in the seat.
I gather it's Ambassador Audrey Marks based on the ground. Is it?
That's what's going to be the consensus, and we'll make the formal announcement and say Monday when we meet again at the officer level.
Just like it is in North Central St. Andrew on the ground, it's Delano Seawright. Is it?
Then we'll make a formal announcement and give you a formal statement even before Monday. All right, but we want to meet all the stakeholders and ensure they're all on board. From all the reports we're getting, people are on board, but we will ensure that we want to know we are doing our things in a timely manner. We are not in any way, we're not going to be hurried by current activities. We're not anxious about that.
Some of your supporters are annoyed and worried that you seem to be on the back foot and the PNP is making all the running.
No, that's you get back from constituents because of the atmosphere in our politics. They want to have the candidates clear, but the election, one day in the life of a politician can be a very long time. And I think maybe the opposition is beginning to realize that one day can be a very long time. Things change dramatically. We are very confident, and we are proceeding at a pace that we want. and we're not changing it. There's pressure to change it sometimes by candidates who want more activity. We're in a mood now where we're tightening up our management structure in the constituencies. We are talking about motivating our workers properly, and that's why our meetings have been more work appreciation. So that there's any gap in terms of MP relationship with their workers, we spot them, we work with them, and we settle it. That the machine will be well oiled and ready to move when the party leader indicates so. And we have enough time to do it. And we're not at this point unduly worried.
You have enough time.
As I said before, as I said at one point, you're not a candidate until you're not a candidate. You're a caretaker until about 5 days before the nomination day, when I informed the director of election that this is the slate for the Jamaica Labour Party, and as the general secretary signs accordingly, that's when you become a candidate. And we have had candidates coming in as late as that and still winning elections.
There are whispers that you may be changing another one of your northern St. Andrew candidates or putative prospects.
We don't have anything. We don't have that on the agenda, no. But if we have to change, if something happens over the next few weeks going there in any seat at all across Jamaica, we have individuals we can bring into the picture. I think right now we're a pretty deep pool of talent, but we have to take time to establish the correct candidates in every seat.
All right.
And we are not unduly worried at this point in time about that.
Horace Jang speaking with me yesterday evening, cover story at Nationwide at 5, all but saying it's a done deal, subject to the formal announcement early next week that Ambassador Audrey Marks has made the decision to enter representational politics, and she'll be heading to Northeast Manchester, which has been with the Jamaica Labour Party for a long time, from 1993 going back to 89, when Audley Shaw won it for the JLP, and it has remained faithful with the JLP since then. But it is one of those competitive seats, and a seat that Audley Manayard Shaw has stamped his own presence on. And I looked at the results for the last 4 elections in Northeast Manchester. In 2020, Shaw won with 69% of the votes, to the PNP's Donald Lennon with just under 30% of the votes, of almost 40%. Shaw won with almost 7,000, Lennon of the PNP just under 3,000. In 2016, Shaw again for the JLP in that close election nationally, Shaw won with 54% of the votes. Valentin Orlando Wint for the PNP gained 44% of the vote, 7,179. Shaw's vote tally was 8,826. That's a 1,700 vote margin, 10 percentage point win for Shaw. Valentin Wint didn't contest for the PNP in 2020, but he's back there now, and he has had a long run in Northeast Manchester, and for the last 2 years he's been largely on his own because Audley is suffering from ill health, not as active as he once was, and the PNP believe this is their best opportunity to snatch Northeast Manchester. Yeah? Shaw, in 2011, the closest, Wint came to defeating Shaw when he gained 48% of the votes to Shaw's 51.6% of the vote. In 2007, Audley won 54% of the votes to Paul Lynn of the PNP, 45%. And I gather this is the time now that the PNP is putting in a lot. The PNP will have to get by Audrey Marks and the Labour Party organization in northeast Manchester. In Audrey Marks, the JLP has found a candidate that fits the bill in northeast Manchester. They like to feel that their representative can walk into cabinet, yes, and a good public profile. Ambassador Marks fits that bill well. The question now, can the organization be re-energized and the engine oiled in time, yeah, so that she can stave off the challenge from Valentin Wint? Interesting, yeah. All right, I think that's where we're going to leave it for this morning. There's one other thing I want to point to, because it's an item of news that we don't think is sexy, but it is so important. Story number 15 for me, Kevin. It's to do with the environment. Yesterday, the Prime Minister said the government will continue to invest in technology that can help to protect the environment. What is the issue here? He was speaking at a handing over ceremony of a tree relocation machine. A tree relocation machine. As we create more of the built environment in Jamaica, and you just drive around Jamaica today and you realize how rapidly the built environment landscape is being reshaped, recast. If you left Jamaica 10 years ago, didn't come back, there are certain places you go now and you would wonder, where am I? Yeah? Because the buildings are going up. And when we build buildings, expand roadways, we have to uproot trees. Yeah? Now, what they have done with this machine, the first of its kind in the Caribbean, when they're doing the building, they don't have to destroy the trees. Listen to what they're going to be doing with this.
The technology has evolved to the point where we can use technology to resolve this conflict that would emerge ever so often as we widen existing roads, that we can move the trees and replant them, and they have a 90% success rate of surviving. So that instruction was given, and what we are here today marking in this ceremony is the acquisition of the capacity to ensure that as we pursue the built environment, as we pursue the widening of our roads for our economic development and efficiency, we can also act as good stewards of our natural assets, our natural environment.
Prime Minister Holness at the handing over ceremony. The cost of the machine, $76 million, the first of its kind in the Caribbean. And the conservator of trees at the Forestry Department, Ainsley Henry, says the machine will assist his department in its mandate to protect and maintain Jamaica's ecospace.
We are proud to welcome a new tool in our armamentarium, which is designed to help us to reduce tree loss, preserve biodiversity, and support sustainable development and resilience. It will enable us to safely and efficiently dig up and relocate and replant some of the mature trees that development activities would have otherwise destroyed. As of today, rather than simply cutting down trees, we now have the capability to move them, to save them, to keep them growing, especially in our urban areas where they are needed the most.
Ainsley Henry, a conservator of trees at the Forestry Department. That's not a sexy topic, but it's important. Very important. Yeah? And the question is, why didn't we get one earlier? But never too late for a shower of rain. All right. That's where we're going to shut up this morning. After the break, your calls.